Well, good afternoon, my friends, and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman out here once again at my shooting bench with yet another 22 Rimfire series video. Today I'm going to be featuring some whisper quiet 22 Rimfire ammo for those of you that might have the need to shoot some ammunition that is discreet, quiet in other words, whether you're shooting at an indoor range possibly, or maybe you're in a situation where you have the need for some pest control and you don't want to announce that you're shooting a firearm by blasting away with something that's high velocity. This ammunition here is quite often more quiet than even a pellet rifle. So it's very low noise, very discreet, yet it still can be effective. What I've got here on the table is some of this CB short by CCI. These are short rounds. They're very quiet. They just make a little spat when they go off. This here is listed for pest control, as you can see, and it launches a 29 grain round nose bullet at 710 feet per second. Now that's out of a rifle barrel. Now all of this low noise ammunition is really intended for shooting out of a rifle barrel, 18, 20, 24 inch. Because the longer barrel will allow the powder to fully burn, whereas a pistol barrel, some of the powder may still be unburned, and as it escapes it'll create a little bit of a crack. It'll be a lot louder than a rifle barrel. So anyway, we're going to be trying this ammunition today at my range here. Now another type of quiet 22 ammunition is also made by CCI, and that's this CCI Quiet semi-auto 22 long rifle. It's not the short configuration, it's in long rifle configuration. And this particular ammo here is designed to make semi-automatics, or most semi-automatic actions, fully functional with this particular loading. It provides enough blowback in most cases to get that bolt move fully rearward, to recock the hammer, and also to allow another round to be fed into the loading breech and then chamber another round. It kicks the bolt back hard enough to be able to make most semi-automatic rifles and pistols fully functional using this ammo. And it's also in a quiet loading. It's not as quiet as their regular quiet 22 ammo, but we're going to be trying this here on the range today, and I'll tell you, I've used this before in the past. It shoots a 45 grain bullet at 835 feet per second, so it packs pretty good punch, and definitely enough for close range work on varmints such as rats, pigeons, crows, things like that, if you can get close enough to them, but also for small game hunting like squirrels and rabbits and things in that category. So let me go ahead and pull one out of the box here and show it to you real quick. It's a regular 22 long rifle loading, and as you can see, it's individually packaged. There it is, folks. Very much like their standard velocity loading. It's a round nose. And a lot of folks really like this ammunition because it allows you to use a long rifle loading or a long rifle cartridge in situations where you don't want to make a lot of noise, like I mentioned earlier. Now in the past there have been other manufacturers that made quiet ammunition, such as Winchester. This is their CB match load. It's a lead round nose. Shoots a 29 grain bullet at 770 feet per second, and here it is. It's in a long configuration, like a 22 long cartridge. This is pretty much collector ammo, I think. I don't believe they make this anymore, but there you can see it. And Remington at one time also made a CB load, CB low velocity. We'll try a few of these. I've got several boxes of this left. I know this is collector type ammunition, but let me show you one of these little rounds real quick. There it is. It's actually a copper plated round nose. And let's see, it doesn't have a listing for velocity, I don't believe. But I know it shoots probably around 750 to 800 feet per second out of that little loading. And I have found in the past that these are very accurate out of most of my rifles. If you have any of this stuff, hold on to it, because the value is going up, and collectors will pay a pretty good penny if you have fully boxed containers like this. They're still in the regular little cardboard containers, 50 rounds. I've got several boxes of these. But a neat little round that Remington came out with. Let's see, it does have some technical data on the side here. Let me read it off to you. Bullet weight 30 grains, bullet style solid point, copper coated, velocity muzzle at 720 feet per second. At 50 yards, it's still at around 640 feet per second. Energy at the muzzle 34 foot-pounds, 50 yards, 27 foot-pounds. This ammunition will not function in semi-automatics. These 22s should be used only in modern firearms in good condition and originally designed for this cartridge. Okay, that's the warning they have to put on them. And this was made at a time when Remington and DuPont partnered together. You can see right there, there's the DuPont logo. Neat little rounds though. I don't know why they don't make these anymore, but maybe they'll come back. Who knows? So anyway, I've got some targets downrange, and what I'm going to do is zoom in on those targets, and we'll shoot some of these quiet 22s. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try out the CBs first, the 22 CBs, and see how well they do at that distance. And I have squirrel hunted with these in the past and harvested squirrels with them, so they still pack enough punch for small game. Let's see how well they do at the 50-yard mark at my steel targets. Okay, today we'll be using my old standard Remington 581 here, and I've got 5 rounds loaded into the magazine of the CB Short by CCI. Okay, so let me get zoomed in here. Get a little bit closer there. I think you can see those targets well enough. I'm going to be shooting at that middle plate on top first, just to see where my point of impact is, because I really don't have any clue. I'm sure it's hitting a lot lower, but let's give it a try here. Here we go. Okay, I heard metal. I think I'm hitting low and to the right. I'm not sure. Okay, that time it hit. It's hitting a little bit to the right. All right. First of all, let's try the bunny rabbit on the far right. Okay, hit that target. I don't know if it's going to have enough energy to be able to knock some of these targets over, but we're going to try. I see a bunny rabbit on the bottom row there. Let's give him a try. All right. There's a starling. Let's see, where did I put that starling? I think he's right in front of that pigeon and between the pigeon and that bunny rabbit we just shot at. Okay, I nailed it. All right, let me reload. As you can tell, that's really quiet. It's just making a little pop, pretty much. Very low decibel. And you can hear the time lapse between the shot and when the bullet is hitting down there. Okay, here's 5 more rounds. I'll get those put in. Get loaded up here. Let's shoot at that pigeon there. We haven't tried him yet. All right. There's a squirrel right above that pigeon. This is 50 yards, folks, so, you know, not too bad for a little bitty cartridge like that. Let's try that other squirrel there on the left. I think you can see where that bullet hit. All right, I see a swinging target just below that squirrel there. Tink. And then one next to that one. All right, not bad. You know, within 50 yards, if you get your rifle sighted in well, you might be able to do some good. Okay, folks, I zoomed in just a little bit more and still got that 50-yard target series down there centered up pretty well. And right now we're going to go ahead and try the quiet 22 in the long rifle configuration. Get loaded up here. And we'll take a few shots with this. I'm sure this will have more authority than that CB short. But we'll try it here. Once again, let's try that rabbit up there on the far right, on top. Oh yeah, I can tell. Huge difference there. I see an orange target there between that little rabbit and the pigeon. Yeah, it's hitting a lot harder. Getting down there quicker too. Still fairly quiet though. Below that first rabbit that we just shot at, there's a crow. Let's take him out. And let's get that little rabbit there next to the crow. Rabbit stew for dinner. Okay, let's see. Let's get that squirrel on the top row. And then the other one. Up. That's something you'll rarely see me do, is dry fire one, but anyway, I was having so much fun plinking away with this stuff. All right. Let's get loaded up here. All right, let's shoot at that squirrel on the far left. And that swinging target on the far left. Solid hit right there. Okay, let's hit that swinging target that was right next to that one. That sounded pretty solid. That little rabbit's kind of bothering me. Let's try to knock him down. Now I'm hitting him. He must be right up against that backboard there. And the pigeon. That's it. Well guys, I think you could tell very easily from the video that this ammunition functioned very well out of my bolt action rifle. But while I was shooting it, I was wondering how well is it going to function out of one of my semi-automatic rifles. What I've got here on the table is my Marlin Model 60, one of them anyways. And we'll see how well this ammunition functions in a semi-automatic action. And the reason I chose it is because it is indeed one of my favorite rifles, and also because it's one of the most popular rifles. A lot of you folks out there probably own one of these. There were millions of them made, so the reason I chose that rifle is because you want to see how well this ammunition will perform in your gun if you own one of these. And before you go out and spend the money, you want to know whether or not it'll function in a semi-automatic action that's a very popular choice in America. So let's give it a try. I'm going to load up some rounds and we'll take a few shots. We'll load up about 10 rounds or so. As you can see, they're loading up very smoothly. Ten rounds ought to be enough to be able to tell whether or not this ammunition is going to function right. So now let me go ahead and get zoomed in once again. Get that centered up well. All right. I think you can see all those targets pretty well. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, right there. Alright, got her loaded up, and here we go. Let's try that rabbit first. I'm going to aim a little bit higher, just like I did with the bolt action. Okay, spit that one out perfectly. Let's try that crow there, right below the bunny rabbit. Tell you what, let's try that starling there in the middle. Perfect. And the bunny rabbit next to the orange target. Well, I'll tell you what, let's shoot the orange target first. Now the bunny rabbit. The pigeon. Perfect. And the squirrel above the pigeon. One next to him. And the swinging target below that squirrel. Okay, we got one more round here. On the ground, in front of all the targets, there's a pine cone right next to that white and blue can. Let's see if we can hit that pine cone. Oh yeah, smack in dead center. All right, that was the last round. Well, my friends, that worked perfectly. All those rounds cycled very smoothly and very positively. And as you can see, the action is open on the last round. And it's quite accurate. This is good ammunition right here, folks. Good ammo. So if you want to try it, this is not really an advertisement. I'm just showing you the way it's happening right here at my range as I'm shooting. You know, give that stuff a try. There is definitely a need for quiet .22 ammunition, and that's the reason I made this video. I wanted to feature a couple of these different loadings, like this CB short and that quiet .22 long rifle, semi-auto. Now I also wanted to bring out some of this vintage quiet ammunition in different configurations. Remington's CB 22 short and Winchester's CB match long in a lead round nose. Like I say, I don't know if they're making this ammunition anymore, but I got this years ago. I mean, probably 15 years ago. And this ammunition I got, I want to say in the 1990s, early 1990s. So I'm not sure when this was being manufactured. I want to say it was probably being made in the late 1980s and then discontinued late 1990s, maybe early 2000s. If anyone out there knows, please leave a comment below, because I'd like to know for sure. You know, I'm not sure of the exact date, but about that time period is when these were available. And the reason I brought them out here is to illustrate a point, because I thought about some ammunition that I featured a few years ago when I said that this was no longer available. Well, this exact version is not. However, Remington, I think, is still making this right here. Last time I looked in their catalog, they were still producing this CB22 quiet ammunition. However, this is in a long rifle version, and it's also a hollow point. I reviewed this ammo out here, and to my recollection, it did quite well. 25, 30 yards, maybe 40 yards, and I also set up a few targets down there at 50, and it still performed. And I would say it's fairly effective, and it's very low noise. I'll take one of the rounds out of the box here and show it to you. There it is, folks. To me, it looks a lot like their Yellow Jacket loading. It is indeed a hollow point, and if you look closely, you can see that it's a segmented hollow point, but it has that truncated cone shape to the bullet. And, you know, it's a pretty impressive little round, I gotta say. Good looking little round. It was fairly accurate from what I remember. It was accurate enough to be able to positively connect with small game animals such as squirrels and rabbits at reasonable distances, but also at close distances you could very reliably shoot rats, pigeons, starlings, you know, anything that might be considered a pest, and have good performance out of this ammunition. So the reason I brought these different varieties of ammunition out here, both vintage and new loadings, like this quiet 22 ammo, and of course the CB 22 short subsonic low noise, is that the idea of a low noise 22 rimfire loading has been around for a pretty good while, and quite frankly is because there's been a need for it. You know, there's been a demand by shooters to have a low noise, quiet shooting round for specific situations that they're faced with. You know, like I mentioned, you know, it may be in a pest control situation close to a city or something where you don't want to blast away with something that's hyper velocity or high velocity even. So given the performance of some of these rounds, the manufacturers have definitely done their homework in producing ammunition that's of good quality and good performance. And as you can see at my shooting range here, they did quite well. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out the video and tell you folks, I appreciate you coming along. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you got some good pointers. If you have a semi-automatic 22, you're not being left out, because CCI makes a loading for 22 actions. But if you have a bolt action or a lever action or a pump action even, you can shoot any of these types of ammunition, and I think you'll be quite well pleased. So give them a try, and whichever one is the most accurate is the one that you want to choose. But, you know, with the 22 long rifle hollow point that's made by Remington, I think that's a pretty obvious choice if you want quick stopping power. So I would definitely give that a try if you can find it. So anyway, I need to go ahead and close out this video, like I said, because my wife just came out and said that supper was ready. So let me just say Thanks again for watching, and remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, hiking, no matter what your outdoor pursuit happens to be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, but also remember this: hit that like button, smash the bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this one will be coming your way. So until next time, y'all get out there and enjoy the great outdoors, and if you go shooting with your 22s, have a lot of fun. Just make sure you do it safely. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.